CR 2015-02079, State of Arizona versus Jose Valenzuela. Will the parties please announce, beginning with the state?
Thank you, Your Honor. Gary Husk, Special Prosecutor on behalf of the Navajo County Attorney's Office.
And good morning, Your Honor, or good afternoon, Your Honor. Catherine Fuller with Arizona Voice for Crime Victims on behalf of next of kin sister.
Good afternoon, Your Honor. Bobby Faldudo on behalf of Jose Valenzuela, who's present in custody here today. Brian Gohan and Jamie Ramirez as co-counsel.
Record will show Mr. Valenzuela is present with counsel, and you may be seated.
Your Honor, I believe we have you counsel for as guardian ad litem as well. Your Honor.
And the record will show Mr. Wiegand present as guardian ad litem. Before we begin, just very briefly, I want to begin because I want to make sure that the court has every opportunity to hear from the parties, from the victims. I want to begin by noting what I have reviewed. There is a great deal of material that has been submitted. I have reviewed every word of it. I have reviewed the state sentencing memorandum together with the victim impact statement submitted by the state, including 6 letters from family and friends of the victims. The court has also reviewed the defendant's sentencing memorandum together with all attachments, including but not limited to a letter from an attorney, several certificates, approximately 18 letters and notes from family and friends, and a PowerPoint presentation, including several photographs and videos. The court has also reviewed the additional letter for sentencing provided by the defense from the defendant's former attorney. The court has further reviewed the memorandum from pretrial services presenting the victim letter from Ms. Fuller and all attachments, including documents related to the investigation, and 11 additional letters from family and friends of the victims. Finally, the court has reviewed the unofficial recommendation of the probation department and the criminal history. Now, we do have a lot of people here, and we have a lot of people that I do want to hear from. However, if you are one of those who has submitted a statement, I have reviewed that statement. I've reviewed it carefully. I have read every word of all that has been submitted to me from both sides, from the victims, every word. We have a certain amount of time that is allotted for the sentencing hearing this afternoon. Unfortunately, we cannot go beyond 5 o'clock. And so that puts us in a position where we have a number of people who have indicated that they may want to make a statement today. We may be able to get through many of those, particularly if they are concise. And I don't want to rush anybody. I want to hear from everybody. However, I do believe that it would be a great tragedy if it turned out that we got to 5 o'clock and then we had to come back on a different day, putting everybody through all of this again and delaying once again the ending and the closure to this case. So I would encourage those who do make statements to consider that aspect of things as well, that we are limited for time for today, and if necessary, we will go into another day. But I don't think that anybody wants that. We are in a position for sentencing today, and I think that we would all want for the defendant, for the victims, we would want to be able to bring finality, which we have the opportunity to do today. So with that, and with that encouragement, the court has reviewed all of those documents. Mr. Husk, is there anything that it appears the court has missed?
No, Your Honor, I believe you have accurately cited all the material that has been submitted on behalf of the state.
And from the defense?
As well as for the defense.
Anything that it seems that I've missed from the victims, Ms. Fuller?
No, Your Honor.
Thank you. Then let's begin. Let's start with the state. Mr. Husk.
Thank you, Your Honor. At this time, Blake Harry would like to make a statement.
Okay. I know that you've read this, but I'm just going to say it out loud for everyone. My name is Blake, and I'm Tina's daughter. My mom was a mother of 3. She was the best mom anyone could ask for. When she was murdered, I was 22 years old. My little brother was 17 in high school, and my youngest brother was 12 in elementary school. We searched for 11 days to find them. During those 11 days, I had never prayed, hoped, and wished more in my life that I could find them okay. We got the news that shook our earth the day before my little brother's 13th birthday. The news that would change the rest of our lives. 4 years have gone by now. I'm not a mother myself. A mother without her own mother, and I'm the best mother because of the mom that I had. She was my best friend and biggest supporter. My mom and Michael never got to meet their first grandchild that just turned 1. My mom wasn't there when I needed her to hold me when I brought my own child into this earth. My mom and Michael weren't there. When Hunter and Luke graduated, and when Harrison turned 16 and got his driver's license, they were taken far too soon. They had children to raise. They still had so much more life to live and memories to make with their loved ones. I will never understand why my mom couldn't be spared. I will never understand how something like this could happen to anyone. 4 years later, I think about what happened and I still get weak in the knees. I think about what my mom endured watching her husband that she loved so much die in front of her. Knowing she was about to leave her children behind, begging and pleading for her life, I'm sure. I can only imagine what she went through. My mom was beautiful, she was kind, she was funny, she was loving. She was everything her kids needed her to be, and this person stole that from us. He stole it and is even sorry. Does he even have anything to say? He ruined so many people's lives and made this world a lot harder to live in without my mom and Michael. I ask you, Judge, to give me the maximum punishment as he did to my entire family.
Thank you.
Luke, correction.
Hello, Judge. My name is Luke Correccia, and I'm Mike's son. Father's Day night changed my life forever. I stand here 4 years later with the same heavy feeling as when 2 police officers knocked on my aunt and uncle's door and told us the news 11 days after they were murdered, searching sun up and sun down with the family you see here today. My life will truly never be the same. There are so many memories that can't be made because their life got taken so early. I remember being a kid and talking to my dad about the most real and honest things. And as I grew older, I realized not only did he prepare me for the real world, but he also made me the man I am here today. He also made so many people laugh when he entered a room, and everywhere I went with him, he seemed to have friends or knew someone that had friends there. I ask you to relate it to your own family, Judge, and later today give the max sentence for the murderer. My father was a professional for 14 years. Besides what you hear from others, to the greatest character, he was a great man who provided and loved for his family. Tina was also a really good person who loved and cared so much for our family with such a great heart. Every day I do something that reminds me of them, and I try to smile as much as I can just because of their presence. The last 4 years, this day is what I go back to, this moment you see me here today. Thank you, Your Honor, and thank you for everyone being here.
Thank you.
All right, this time the state would like to play a video on the family prepared slideshow. this time, we'd like to resume calling Linda Correcia.
And Your Honor, unfortunately, this has been quite an emotional road for Linda Correcia, who's mother to Michael, and so Linda's statement will be read by a social worker in my office, Mary Wallace.
Thank you.
I am Michael's mother. From the time Michael could walk and talk, he made friends everywhere he went, and he kept those friends to the end. He got his commercial pilot's license at the age of 21. His goal was for he, his sister, and me to live close together. That is how we all ended up in Maricopa. I spent the last 5 years of my son's life near him. I will miss him for the rest of mine. All our gratitude to Vince Goddard, Patrick Johnson, and Jesus Pacheco. Their guidance at the start of this is how we made it to the end.
Thank you.
Lisa Correcia.
My name is Lisa. I'd like to take the opportunity to tell you how the brutal murder of my brother Michael and my sister-in-law Tina has impacted myself and our entire family. I'd also like to tell you what sentence I think the defendant deserves for murdering Michael and Tina and how much they meant to me. Michael was the person in the world who was most like me. Same parents, same upbringing, same friends in high school. We raised our kids together and we shared the same anxieties. Michael and I understood each other. We helped each other through life and the challenges that come with it because we always knew how each other felt. I miss my brother every day. Michael was my little brother. He was funny, loyal, empathetic, and charismatic. We all miss the incredible characteristics that meant so much to everyone who knew my brother. He loved his family, he loved Tina, he loved his children. Although every member of our family is brokenhearted, nothing compares to watching their children cope with the grief of losing their parents. They were barely young adults instantly thrown into something that nobody should experience. Despite everything they have endured, they truly have thrived and survived this horrible loss. This is a testament to who their parents were. Tina was like a sister to me. I've known her since she was 13 years old. Even though she and Michael drifted apart for a while, Tina and I stayed close. She was one of those friends that when time passed and we hadn't seen each other or talked, once we got together to catch up, it was like we'd never been apart. We'd catch up and talk and laugh a lot. Since they've been taken, my life completely unraveled. I'm struggling to put myself back together, but I'm slowly getting there. Only just now beginning to cope and breathe and not want to dive into the ground and take a long nap. I was thankful for the closeness that I had with all the kids before this happened and hoped to be there for them, but they ended up holding me up. I'm amazed at the strength and resilience and endurance of these kids. I know Michael and Tina would be very proud of the young adults they've become. Michael and Tina were robbed of the chance to see their children become adults and have their own families. I spend my days caring for Tina's granddaughter, who's like my granddaughter now. Not a day or hour goes by without the awareness that the joy was mine to have. It was my very loved sister-in-law, Tina. Your Honor, there really are not adequate words to describe how these murders have devastated our family. Please take this into consideration when imposing the sentence for the horrific murder of two very loved people. Please do not let Jose Venezuela any opportunity to ever be free in our country again. Jose Venezuela deserves nothing less than to serve. Please punish him for what he has done and protect other families from ever enduring the losses we have experienced. Our families deserve to begin to heal and move forward. Thank you.
Thank you.
Lori Albert.
Hi, I'm Lori, Tina's sister. Throughout the past 4 years of pain and anguish our families have endured from this horrific and senseless tragedy, it is my determination not to let the murder of Tina and Michael to be distilled down to a case number or a statistic or a needless shame. My sister Tina and my brother-in-law Michael were everything to me, and I'll never get over the loss of either of them.
Tina came in to my life on February 2nd when I was 13 years old. She was my best friend her whole life. It didn't take long to realize we shared the same daredevil spirit that was in part why we were so close. But it was equally clear, as her older sister, my role was to protect her, and when she got into trouble, to be her fixer. I wouldn't change that for anything, because Tina, the baby of our family, wasn't only the light of my life, but my beautiful sister lit up the room wherever she went. She had more friends than I had acquaintances. She was a great mother to her daughter Blake and to her sons Hunter and Harrison. And although Tina never got the privilege of seeing her grandbaby, Gail Phoenix, who turned 1 this month. As a consequence of this horrible tragedy, I had the bittersweet blessing of having a bigger share in helping care of my niece, nephews, and grandniece, but I could never ever fill the shoes of their beautiful mother. I'd also like to thank Michael's family, because Michael was a great husband to Tina and a great father to their children, and as a commercial pilot, he also was a great provider for the family. Michael was a blessing to Tina, especially in the last few years of their lives, and was a credit to his parents. I'd also like to briefly state all of these proceedings were necessary. It's been brutally painful for 4 years to sit through these proceedings for all of us who love Tina and Michael. I wish the personal costs of this being present at these proceedings was only financial, but the emotional pain and the scars will take a long time for us to heal from. I don't blame the court for this secondary victimization, but I ask the court to take into consideration our pain during sentencing. In conclusion, as I stated before, I am Tina's protector. I have to live with the reality that I couldn't shield Michael or her from this horrible brutality. And if it was solely up to me, I'd also be her avenger as well, but I cannot. The Bible tells us at Romans 12, do not be overcome by evil, but overcome evil with good. It says, vengeance is mine, I will repay. So are we to wait for God's judgment for justice? No. Romans 13:4 says, this court is God's minister who has the responsibility on earth to wield his proverbial sword to execute wrath on him who practices evil. So according to these verses, we ask the court to make sure that the defendant shares in the pain we'll never get over. Thank you.
Thank you.
Michael Perry.
Your Honor, my name is Michael Perry. I'd like to say that Tina was one of the most wonderful individuals you'd ever come across. Also, Michael was a very fine man, and I would like to ask the court to please pass down the maximum sentence for Michael's death in respect for all of Michael's family and Tina's family. They were both wonderful individuals. They led very wonderful, good lives. They were very vibrant individuals, and I would like you to show respect for their loss and the family's loss. That individual killed more than just 2 people. He's totally damaged these families for, it will go on for a very long time. And we would like to ask you to pass down the maximum sentence, please.
Thank you.
The next 2 people I have on the list are Dylan Dugan and Silver Dugan. Do you still want to make statements at this time?
Yeah, okay with time.
Yes, let's go ahead.
Hello, Your Honor. My name is Dylan Dugan. I'm the nephew of Michael Perry. I'm not sure exactly how to describe how my uncle and aunt were. My uncle Mike was like the second father someone to talk to when you needed to talk to somebody. Gina was the perfect pairing to him in a lot of ways. She was able to articulate things that he wasn't able to. He was goofy and sharp, counted. Everyone who ever met him loved him. That's not an exaggeration. You can see how many people are here today. You know, like to really understand, you would have to know him. Of course, that can't happen now. I think part of that is what is is that if they had died any other way, would just look back fondly and understand that what happened, and there was a reason for it, we just don't understand. This doesn't devise reason. I mean, like now we have to look back and remember the trauma of spending 11 days in a sharpened Pantel, of spending the scorching summer days searching for them in the desert, and having to do all that. If they had just died in a car accident, as painful as that would be, we could just look back and remember the fondly instead of having to have that scar that is associated with it. So, please just, whatever you can do to make this right, please. Thank you for letting me speak.
Thank you.
Silver Dugan.
Michael and Tina were the best aunt and uncle I could have ever got. Funny, goofy, always there for me, like a second set of parents that I didn't even know I needed. It's unnecessary to say that my life will never be the same. You can't replace them. It's like my whole view on reality has been ripped apart. I realize how easily bad things can happen with people you care about and love and spend your life with, and simple things like a missed phone call can make me panic because I know how that's reality. That's what can happen. I love them, admire them, and still grieve for them. Little things like a helicopter flying low overhead, it makes me think of the news crew when they were digging up the bodies and how we could hear them above us while we were going down to try to figure out what was going on because we were just desperate to find them. It's just an impossible task to try to say I've been impacted. There's so much that I can't put into words. The pain of it. It's been 4 years and it still hurts, just like it did watching my whole family fall to the ground when we heard it. Like an earthquake shook us and we were just devastated. The only thing I can do is describe it as heartache, and it's not.
Thank you.
The next three people on the list are Katrina Bates, Evelyn Bates, and Jolene Bates. Do all of you still want to make statements?
Hello, Judge. My name is Katrina Bates, and I was a daughter-in-law to Michael and Tina Correcchia. I could say daughter-in-law now because Luke proposed only 6 months ago, but I've always felt like a daughter-in-law to Michael and Tina. They really treated me like their own and made it clear how much they supported Luke and I together, and that meant so much to me, and it pains me to know I'll never get the chance to thank them and tell them just how much it meant to have their support, or thank them for being the couple that we aspire to be like, or for the laughs and the amazing, unforgettable memories together. I feel so fortunate to have been a part of each other's lives. They made such an amazing impact on my life from the second I met them. They were always happy no matter what. They instilled that in a lot of people around them. They were great friends and amazing parents. I would have never thought I'd have to picture my life without them in it, In fact, I would always just picture us in the future and how awesome of grandparents they would be to our children one day. And I couldn't wait to see how fun they would be. Now that it's ripped away from us, and it breaks my heart knowing my children will never know how incredible they were. To say my life has changed after what happened to them and our family is an understatement. I watched family members and friends cry until there were no more tears left, literally for days on end. The first few days after we found out the news that they were murdered, I watched people drop to their knees, have panic attacks, cry in agony that the world just lost two very special people. And then everything went numb for a while after that. I felt so empty and felt stripped of all that was good left in the world. It was all that we thought about for months. We became obsessed with trying to figure out why and how, and draining ourselves every night with very little information on the matter for months on end. Then months turned into years, and we're still left with nothing. He took something from us, Judge, that will always be irreplaceable. Someone's dad, someone's son, brother, stepdad, friend, father-in-law, grandpa, someone's mother, sister, daughter, aunt, grandma, mother-in-law. That's a lot to take from someone. It's inhumane taking that away from somebody. We searched for Michael and Tina for 11 days straight from dusk till dawn in the Arizona heat. Now my heart drops when a loved one misses a call, or doesn't reply back fast enough, or is hanging out with someone new, or someone they actually knew. Or when someone says the word murder, or dead, or shot, killed, gun. I now have trigger words that bring me back to the darkest, most heartbreaking days of my life. Judge, I hope he never gets to step foot out of this prison for the rest of his life. I want him to think about us and them and what he did to our family every single day in there. And I want him to also know he will never, ever receive our forgiveness. I want him locked away in a cell with a maximum sentence so he won't have the chance to rip apart any more families. Thank you.
Thank you.
Layla Perry.
The number 1,524 may look small, but when you put it into days, it then becomes very large when you consider how much time it is in someone's life. So 1,524 days ago would bring us back to June 17, 2015. That is the date I can remember being the last time I saw my father genuinely smile and laugh as he watched his grandchild play. Moving forward to 1,519 days ago would bring us to June 22nd, 2015. That is when Mr. Venezuela decided to take away my peace, my father's peace, along with my entire family's peace, by murdering my Aunt Tina and her husband Michael. The actions of Mr. Venezuela had left me with sadness, fear, and pain. I can't tell you the last time I've slept peacefully through the night without being haunted by the thoughts of what my precious aunt's last moments were, the constant thoughts of regret, thinking I could have done something to change the outcome, to spare my father the pain I now see in his eyes from losing Tina this fight. The pain and sadness of losing Tina for myself has left me overwhelming. At times, it leaves me numb to people around me. It feels as if I haven't took a breath in those 1,519 days. And the worst part is that number keeps growing. I'm forever going to be mourning the loss of my Aunt Tina, mourning her wisdom, her advice, her lending a listening ear or a shoulder to cry on. I'll miss the way Tina would tell her favorite stories. I yearn to hear her laugh again, because her laugh could light up any room she walked into, even a room the size of Texas. I will pray that I never forget her laugh, because her laugh can make you forget about any worry that you possibly could have. But mostly, I will be mourning the future we thought that all we're going to share with them. I will mourn Tina not being here to see me raise my children, to give me her motherly advice. I will regret not having my children get to know how wonderful Tina was. And my heart will ache because she is not here to be with her children, watch them grow up, graduate, and see them have children of their own. It is so cruel that she isn't here to show her grandchildren her unconditional love. I will continue to live with a hole in my life because Tina's not here. I, along with my entire family, will be grieving the loss of Tina and Michael for the rest of our lives. I graciously ask you, Your Honor, today not to show any lenience toward the defendant. I know the sentence will not bring back my Aunt Tina or Michael, nor will this sentence bring back the peace Mr. Venezuela so wrongfully took from my father, my family, and myself. But it's my hope that this sentence will keep the defendant from committing such a horrible crime again.
Thank you.
Evelyn Bates.
Hello, Judge. My name is Evelyn Bates. I consider Mike and Tina my family. I saw them almost every weekend. Fun dancing nights, karaoke, or even just sitting around and talking to each other. I will always remember the memories shared with them. I will forever be eternally grateful to have known the two beautiful people that are Mike and Tina. I was 14 years old when Jose murdered and buried Mike and Tina in his backyard, not even a block away from my own house. Still to this day, I can't believe that they're gone. I never would have thought that something so terrible and horrendous would happen to me and my family. We are all such great people. Mike and Tina were amazing. They lit up every room. They were so fun to be around. I miss our family get-togethers every weekend. I am forever grateful I was able to be a part of their lives and them to be a part of mine. I just graduated from high school in May, and one of my very last assignments I had was to write an essay about something that impacted my life. I was very hesitant to write about Mike and Tina because it is so deep and dark and terrifying, and I didn't know if it'd be suitable for a high school essay. But I did anyway because their deaths had a very huge impact on my life. I'm going to read an excerpt from the essay I wrote. The summer of 2015 was the absolute worst. I was on a cycle of never-ending nightmares, except the nightmare was Mike and Tina's murder, and it just kept replaying in my brain over and over again. It has now been almost 5 years since this horrible incident happened, and I still remember everything like it was yesterday. What it felt like, how long the days felt. Mike and Tina were great people who deserve none of this. I remember Jose once asked me to babysit his son Vincent. Vincent was such a sweet little boy that it breaks my heart, knowing that he's gonna have to grow up, knowing his father murdered 2 innocent people. Thank you.
Thank you.
Jolene Bates.
My name is Jolene Lumpus Bates. I'm a friend and was soon to be in-laws with Mike and Tina Correccia, who were brutally and senselessly murdered. It's hard to put into words how their murders have affected us. I get mad and sad and start to cry. Our family gatherings will never be the same without them. Our lives have changed dramatically for all of us. We hardly ever get together anymore, even though we vowed for Mike and Tina that we wouldn't let it change how strong a group we were. We were a team, or like a well-oiled machine. The Dugans, the Correccias, the Bates Clint's. We did a lot of fun things together with the kids. All of that has changed since Mike and Tina were murdered, and it has affected all of us. It won't be the same again, not without 2 important, irreplaceable parts of the machine. It's just broken. We have missed Mike and Tina at so many special moments and milestones since they were murdered. Every day I will miss them. Today we will lovingly remember Mike and Tina and smile while we remember all the good times we had and all that they taught us. They were having fun watching Blake, George, Luke, Hunter, and Harry, and all the other kids grow up. Mike and Tina loved being parents.
It was the greatest joy, and now they're missing all of it. And we miss them dearly too. These past 4 years, I have fantasized that we would get 5 minutes alone with him to let him feel all the pain and hurt that he has caused all of us. Just 5 minutes. Instead, we get our own life sentence. It's not fair that he gets to live too. We will celebrate today that he will never be able to walk amongst us or in my community ever again. He will never get forgiveness from me for what he did to my family.
Lynette Hicklin.
I'm Tina's sister. Tina was the bright light in our family. We had just lost our mom 5 weeks earlier, and we were grieving. And Tina wanted to build a home for her family. She married Michael, her junior high school sweetheart. We knew him since he was 13, and we all loved him. My mom, everyone in our family loved him. She loved her children so much and wanted them to have a home and a good education. Tina was so kind and generous, smart and fun. I wake up every day thinking of her. We had so many plans and they're lost forever. Our family grief is so deep it's hard to live without her. We love her so much. I know my sister is in God's care. I will miss her for the rest of my life.
Thank you.
Your Honor, at this time the state would like to play another brief video. And to set the stage on this is a video of the defendant after he was arrested, and he was making phone calls to his minor son at home and made some statements that I would like the court to hear.
Okay. Let me go, baby. I'll see you soon, okay? Hey, I want you to be good with mommy. I want you to be good with your brothers and sisters. I want you to be something really good, okay, Vince? All right? Every mistake we make, we gotta pay for it. Vince, I'm gonna see you soon, okay? Marla.
Your Honor, at this time I'd like to address the court.
Please.
Thank you. First and foremost, Your Honor, I'd like to thank you for your patience and diligence throughout this process. You've thoughtfully reviewed all of the material provided and afforded all of the parties a fair opportunity to present their case to you. This has been an emotionally difficult case for all people involved. This, however, is not a difficult case in terms of the overwhelming amount of evidence that the defendant callously murdered Mike and Tina Correggio. While the defendant did not reveal all of the details of these horrific crimes, he admitted his actions on multiple occasions. And these crimes were so brutal and so senseless. In short, these murders, as indicated by many of the family members, were unforgivable. I'm confident that Mr. Valenzuela, through his legal team, will ask the court for some mercy. Mercy that he never extended to Michael or Tina when he shot him in the head at point blank range. Frankly, the defendant is not deserving of any further mercy. His mercy is that he will not receive the death penalty for his atrocities, and some would say that is substantially more than he deserves. Now, the defendant in various statements has attempted to hide behind the fact that he had some bad stuff, some bad meth that evening. Well, as this court is well aware, all meth is bad, and it's illegal for a reason. I would also point out that the bad stuff he had did not stop him from cleaning up the blood in his home, removing the bodies from his home, borrowing a backhoe, digging a pit in his backyard, tossing the bodies in the pit, and burying those bodies. Nor was the defendant under influence of bad stuff when he lied to the Correcchia family about Mike and Tina. And he certainly wasn't under the influence of bad stuff when he repeatedly lied to the detectives investigating this case. Finally, he certainly wasn't under the influence when he said the Correcchias were probably on a binge. Imagine that, Your Honor, telling police officers that the 2 dead people that he buried in his backyard were not there, but they were on a binge. This attitude, these actions, these statements, Your Honor, provide the kind of insight into Jose Valenzuela's character that cannot be ignored by this court. This court saw an emotional video slideshow that captured some of the rich lives of Michael and Tina. Lives that were robbed by defendants for absolutely no reason. Lives, the loss of which destroyed the very foundation of not one, but 2 families. Families that desperately searched for their loved ones approximately 4 years ago and have been to every court proceeding since the defendant was indicted. Although today's sentencing may bring closure to this case, it certainly does not ease the family's collective pain. For that pain will continue as they experience the inevitable highs and lows of life without the benefit of their loved ones. In the last year, Your Honor, Blake, Tina's daughter, who you heard from, gave birth to a beautiful little girl that will never know her grandmother. Luke, Michael's son, became engaged and will never have the benefit of his father standing by his side on the most important day of his life. There won't be any more hugs, kisses, laughter, or advice. There will always be a void in their lives because of Jose Valenzuela. And that, Your Honor, is truly the greatest tragedy of all. As this court moves forward to pronounce an appropriate sentence, I would hearken to some simple and powerful words. Words spoken not by a president, not by an author or a poet. No, these words were spoken by a person who committed double murder. Sometimes we make mistakes for which we have to pay. Those were the words that he told his own son. And Your Honor, defendant's debt to society is long overdue. Thank you.
Anything further from the state?
No, Your Honor.
Your Honor, on behalf of the victim, we're just asking that the natural life sentence be imposed served first, and then the state and the victims are asking for a consecutive sentence on count 1, I believe the second degree, and we ask that that be served after, and the reason being that if there's ever any changes in natural life sentences, we would like that to be done that way for these victims' sake. And Your Honor, the only aggravating factor that wasn't mentioned on the record was that this was done and another victim that wasn't a victim by name but should have been was the defendant's own son who witnessed all of what happened on that day.
Thank you. From the defense.
Jose's family's not in the courtroom today. And the reason for that is because Jose asked us to not bring his family in. He realizes he's caused an awful lot of pain, a lot of suffering. His mom and his grandma are not well. So we prepared that PowerPoint video for you, and that would show his family support for him. We attached letters that also show Jose's character. You know, Judge, this is very harsh because I've only been on the case for a year and a half or so, and coming to know Jose, he really was a good person. Reading the state sentencing memorandum and the victim impact letters and all the statements here today, you know, it wasn't just their family that was impacted. Jose's family was impacted too. Mike, Tina, and Jose, they all were good parents. They all raised their kids in the best way that they could. They were brothers, they were sons. And so this has impacted his family as well. They are suffering. And I don't know if everybody had an opportunity to see the PowerPoint, but you know, his mom and dad are extremely broken down. His sister also. They feel very much for the Correcchia family. And Jose, you know, everybody's entitled to a trial, but Jose ended up pleading guilty. He stands before you today to accept his punishment and his sentence, but he did that not just for his family, not just for Pam, not for his son, but for the Correcchia family also, Mike and Tina's family. They were friends. We helped them build their home and do their electrician work, and he was invited to this party on June 21st. And he went there with his son. And they partied all day. This was a home that seemed to be like it was a good home, a very fun home. They had a lot of parties on this particular occasion. Jose tried to do the right thing and left after dinner with his son, and he went home. But they were all having a good time, and Mike and Tina wanted to party some more. Called Jose numerous times until Jose finally answered the phone. And Jose will always say that was the biggest mistake that he ever made. There were many bad decisions that were made that day, and Jose is the first one to admit that he made bad decisions. One of the things, I included this in my memorandum, drugs were part of everybody's life that day. And drugs mean good people do bad things. And the horrible truth is that life can change so quickly. The only explanation that Jose can offer, and did offer to the police, was that he did. He got drugs for everybody that night, and they made him crazy. Told the detectives several times, I don't know what happened, I don't understand, I can't remember things. We had a psychologist produce a report and a new evaluation on him that indicated he did have memory problems. So it's not something he was just making up. And in fact, the detectives have said that he remained consistent in saying that he didn't remember everything. And Jose realizes the impact that this has made on his own family, Mike and Tina's family, and he knows he's going to pay for this for the rest of his life. We can only hope that since drugs and alcohol were involved in this, that younger kids in anybody's life who was touched by this will realize how quickly and how devastating drugs and alcohol can do. Now the state, we worked out an offer. We had several settlement conferences, and the offer was to second-degree murder for Michael's death and first-degree for Tina's death. And that was based on all of the evidence and all of the investigation that was done. Now, in that light, Judge, and you have read a lot, apparently the police report was provided to you as well. And so in that light, you have been given the discretion to review all that information, and you have the discretion for sentencing as far as what the sentence would be on second-degree murder. I know the adult probation department, in their unofficial recommendation, did recommend the presumptive term of 16 years for second-degree murder. We've actually asked for a slightly mitigated term based on the circumstances that are suggested by the evidence. There was a stipulation to a term of natural life for Tina's death, so that's what I'm certainly will impose. Then you can impose concurrent sentences. I have provided some case law for you talking about a quick succession of events that in this particular circumstance, even the state indicated in their sentencing memorandum that in a matter of mere minutes, the defendant had killed his two friends and forever destroyed the lives of their loved ones. These are very tragic circumstances, and it did occur after a party and late night, and things got out of control very quickly. Jose lost control. And so we're going to ask you, Judge, to consider, as well as everything that was in our sentencing memorandum, his good behavior in jail, something you can consider. If you read Stephanie Jones Campbell, her letter, one of the attorneys at the Public Defender's Office who's aware of Jose's kindness and attention and care for some of the other inmates. You also received James Manato's letter, who was his prior counsel, who attested to Jose's remorse throughout the entire time that he knew him. We as well, our defense team, every time we met with him, he was always broken up. This was not about him going to prison and being locked up. This was about how sorry he felt for killing his friends. Hopefully you saw from the videos of his parents and his two sisters that he does have very strong family support. Additionally, Judge, we'd ask you to consider the evidentiary circumstances surrounding these, that this did happen in a very short period of time. And while everybody was under the influence of drugs. And based on that, we'd ask that you impose the sentences concurrently. We'd ask that count 1 be served first, and then count 2 be imposed. We ask for credit for time served, which has been calculated as 1,504 days. We'd ask for you to retain jurisdiction for any restitution hearing. Mr. Valenzuela waives time, or waives his appearance for that. I don't know how much time you'd like to leave for that, but we can leave that open. And we also asked, Judge, that pursuant to the rule of court 2.19, that we seal all of the sentencing memorandums. You had sealed something at one point, and that was again submitted through the adult probation department. It was changed a bit, but we would ask, in lieu of it, on behalf of the guardian ad litem, we had asked for that to be sealed before. I'm asking at this point, Judge, that all of the sentencing memorandums that do refer to the minor child, that we seal all of those. Thanks, Judge.
Thank you.
Your Honor, just briefly on this motion to seal matter, we would object to that. We think that the documents that have been filed have been properly redacted, and there is no basis for sealing that. And I think there's some other concerns for that. There is no basis for sealing the particular documents.
Noted. Does Mr. Valenzuela wish to make a statement? That would be fine.
I understand that at this point we're in the hall, but I care very much for Mike and Tina as well. Things happened so quick that night, one bad decision after another, made by all of us. I was not alone in this, nor was I looking for trouble. It followed me to my doorstep that night. I will never forgive myself to have been a part of my friend's demise, nor for losing control of my home that night. Guns, drugs, and alcohol were in the mix that night that fueled this horrible tragedy. I am truly sorry to all the families, including my own.
Thank you. Anything further from the defense? For 11 days, the hearts of a family, a community, a city, a county, and beyond searched and prayed and cried out for hope. For the 4 years, 1 month, 29 days since that Father's Day on Sunday, June 21st, 2015, their hearts have cried out for justice. As well they should. As well they must. Human life is a sacred and priceless gift. It possesses a value that is beyond measure. It cannot be measured, not in dollars, not in years, not even in the stories and the tears of those left behind. To defile and to destroy something that is so precious and so irreplaceable as a human life and all that it entails, with all of its value that transcends calculation, without just cause, to rob the world of the inestimable value of mother, father, sibling, child, aunt, uncle, friend, is an unspeakable evil. There is no other word for it. And it is for this very reason that government is established and entrusted with the sword. In the face of evil such as this, the heart cries out for justice, and it is right that it should. It must. Punishment should be proportionate, should fit the crime. And yet there is no punishment that can equal the measure of not 1 but 2 lives, not lost but destroyed. No sentence can ever compare to the meaning and the indescribable value of those lives, or to the devastation that is done by having them stolen away. Because the value of those lives is immeasurable. That loss is beyond comprehension. This court cannot grant closure, cannot grant healing, cannot restore that which was taken away and destroyed, cannot bring back all that was and all that might have been. This court can grant justice, and justice alone. And while this court can and will do justice, not cruelty, but justice under the law, it can never be enough to right this wrong, to fully balance the scales. For true and perfect justice sufficient to equal the immensity of life stolen away, for healing, for restoration, to fill this impossible void, these things can only be granted by a higher court. It falls to this court to do justice under the law by the pronouncement of sentence, in accordance with the Constitution and laws of the state of Arizona. This matter has been resolved by plea agreement. This defendant has pled guilty to count 1 as amended for the 2nd-degree murder of Michael Correccia, a Class 1 felony, and count 2 for the 1st-degree murder of Tina Correccia, a Class 1 felony. The stipulated sentence for count 2 is natural life. There are no agreements as to the sentence for count 1. That crime carries a presumptive sentence in the state of Arizona of 16 years, a minimum of 10 years and a maximum of 25 years of imprisonment. In deciding upon the just sentence under the law, this court weighs the entirety of the circumstances of the offense, weighing each factor in aggravation and in mitigation before reaching an appropriate sentence. The court finds that the aggravating circumstances in this matter include the tremendous emotional and other harm suffered by the victims' families, and the facts that the defendant committed the murder of not 1 but 2 persons that he committed these murders while under the influence of an illegal and dangerous drug, that his actions were calculated, callous, deliberate, and depraved, that he committed these murders in the presence of a child, and not only a child, but his own son, and that he lied, misled law enforcement officers, and concealed and destroyed evidence, including the fact that this concealment further desecrated the very bodies of the lives he destroyed of two persons he claims to have called friends. The court does acknowledge in mitigation that the defendant has family support and has maintained good behavior in jail. This court does not find any believable remorse. In consideration of all these factors, each of them, and together in the totality of the circumstances, the aggravating circumstances in this case so desperately outweigh any and all mitigation that the defendant must be sentenced to natural life as to count 2, and nothing less than the maximum sentence available under the law is warranted as to count 1, to be served consecutively to the sentence on count 2. Indeed, that this defendant will not receive a sentence of death is a great and undeserved mercy. Therefore, as to count 2, it is the judgment of the court that the defendant be imprisoned in the Department of Corrections for a term of natural life. This defendant is not eligible for commutation, parole, work furlough, work release, or release from confinement on any basis. The sentence on count 2 of natural life will be served first. As to count 1, it is the judgment of the court that the defendant be imprisoned in the Department of Corrections for the maximum term of 25 years to be served consecutively to count 2. Credit is awarded for 1,504 days of pre-sentence incarceration. The court will retain jurisdiction for any restitution claim. Mr. Valenzuela, you have the right to petition for post-conviction relief within 90 days. If you do not file a timely notice, you would lose that right. If you cannot afford an attorney for that process, the court would appoint one for you. If you cannot afford copies of records and transcripts as part of that process, then those would be provided at no cost. At this time, any and all future hearings are vacated, and you are remanded to begin your incarceration. Is there anything that's been left out, Mr. Husk?
Your Honor, on behalf of the state, given my unique status in this particular matter, I would ask the court to grant me leave to be released from future proceedings in this matter for all purposes.
It is so ordered. Anything from the defense?
I would ask for a copy of the video that the state presented or Ms. Fuller presented.
So directed. As to the matter of the sentencing memorandums, it is the understanding of this court, having reviewed those memorandums, that proper redactions have been made, and as a result there does not appear to be any need to seal those matters, and so those matters will not be sealed. That concludes this matter today. Court is adjourned.
All right.